This is a comment I got on YouTube and I wanted to address it. So it'd be better to say that there are acts that we must do to be necessary for salvation rather than say that there are some works that are necessary for salvation. Would that help clarify things? Or is there another term that's less triggering for people who are, and I'm going to use my own wording, like indoctrinated to think that Romans 4 is the only chapter of the Bible that matters, and works means any and all things that we could possibly do in response, even in response to the gospel, outside of belief. Normally, it doesn't help to bring up the idea of works of God or ideas like we read about in Scripture, even though it is a scriptural term. It's hard to get people to understand that the word works doesn't describe the same thing every single time it's used, that there are different kinds of works in the Bible. If you can avoid using the word works up front, even though it is scriptural, acts is good. I would say conditions. I would point to verses that say, what must I do, or what must we do? What must I do to be saved? And it gets really interesting because people will say things like, there's nothing you have to do to be saved, all you have to do is believe. Like either they don't realize they're being inconsistent, or they have two different understandings for the word do. And there's one conversation about conversion and what's necessary for that, and a second conversation about faithfulness, about this idea of once saved always saved, whether it's true or not, because they will see faithfulness as works based, or like basing your salvation, the continuance of your salvation on works, when ultimately it's your faith that produces the works. So it's faith based. I'm sure you can relate. So if you could start the conversation by what we must do to be saved, what acts we must do is fine, what conditions we must meet to have salvation, remission of sins, and the like. But eventually you'll have to go into possibly, depending on how the conversation goes, how is belief not a kind of work if it is something you must do? And definitely center around John 6:27-29. Like, the work of God is that you yourself do the believing. Other passages of Scripture will tell us it's not belief alone, but it's belief, it's faith that produces all other works.